Close your eyes for a moment. Go back to the last time you saw it clearly. That thing you dream about when nobody's watching. That life you imagine when the noise dies down and the room gets quiet. That version of yourself, standing in purpose, walking in freedom, operating in something so much bigger than where you are right now. You've seen it. I know you have. Maybe it came to you in the middle of the night when you couldn't sleep. Maybe it hit you while you were driving, while you were in the shower, while you were sitting in a job that doesn't even come close to who you know you're supposed to be. Maybe you saw yourself on a stage. Maybe you saw yourself leading people. Maybe you saw a business with your name on it. Maybe you saw a family whole and healed, a community lifted, a generation changed because of something you built, something you said, something you did. You've seen it. And then life happened, and doubt crept in, and people started talking, and circumstances started stacking up against you, and somewhere along the way you started to wonder, was that even real? Was I just dreaming? Was I being delusional? I need you to hear me today. That vision was not an accident. God gave you those visions for a reason. Section 1. The origin of the vision. Let's start at the beginning, because before we can trust the vision, we have to understand where it came from. The Bible tells us in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." Notice what that says. He knows the plans. He already knows them. Past tense. Before you were born, before you took your first breath, before you made your first mistake, before your first heartbreak, before any of the things that tried to bury you ever touched you, he already knew. And part of how he communicates those plans to us is through vision. Proverbs 29:18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." That word perish in the original Hebrew doesn't just mean to die physically, it means to run wild, to become unrestrained, to lose direction, to scatter. Without vision, you scatter. Without vision, you wander. Without vision, you wake up 10 years from now in a life you never chose and wonder how you got there. God gave you that vision to give you direction. He put that dream inside of you like a compass, like a North Star, so that even on your darkest nights, and some of them have been dark, haven't they, you would have something to orient yourself toward, something to pull you forward when everything in you wanted to stop. That vision wasn't random. It wasn't your ego. It wasn't wishful thinking. It was God planting a seed inside of you that was specifically designed for the soil of your life. Let me say that again. That vision was specifically designed for you, for your story, for your pain, for your gifts, for the exact combination of experiences and wounds and talents and relationships that make you uniquely you. Nobody else on this earth has been given the exact same vision because nobody else on this earth is the exact same person. So when you look at someone else's path and start to wonder why your journey looks different, stop. Stop comparing. What he put in them is not what he put in you. What he called them to was not what he called you to. You're not behind their timeline. You're running your own race. And your race was designed with your vision in mind. Section 2. Why you doubted it. Now, let's talk about what happened after the vision came. Because the vision didn't come alone, did it? Right behind it came the questions. Right behind it came the fear. Right behind it came the voice that said, "Who are you to think you can do that?" And you need to understand something about that voice. That voice is not God. That voice is not wisdom. That voice is the enemy of your purpose. And his whole assignment is to talk you out of your destiny before you ever step into it. Satan doesn't show up with horns and a pitchfork. He shows up with a familiar voice. Sometimes it sounds like logic. Sometimes it sounds like practicality. Sometimes it sounds like the people who raised you, the people who left you, the people who laughed at you when you shared the vision. He uses your own insecurities as a megaphone. He says things like, "You don't have enough education, you don't have enough money, you're too old, you're too young, you've made too many mistakes, your past is too messy, you don't have the right connections, nobody in your family has ever done that. Who do you think you are?" And here's what's dangerous. Some of those things might be factually true. Maybe you don't have the degree, maybe you don't have the money, maybe you have made a lot of mistakes, maybe your past is messy. But here's what the enemy won't tell you. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Moses was a murderer with a speech impediment. God still used him to lead 2 million people out of slavery. David was an adulterer, a manipulator, a man with blood on his hands. God still called him a man after his own heart. Paul, before he was Paul, he was Saul. He was literally hunting Christians and having them killed. God knocked him off his horse on the road to Damascus and turned him into one of the greatest apostles who ever lived. Your past does not disqualify you. Your mess does not define you. Your mistakes do not determine your ceiling. God looks at you, and he doesn't see what you've done. He sees what he put inside you. He sees the end from the beginning. He sees who you become when you finally say yes to the calling he placed on your life. And right now, he is saying to you the same thing he said to Gideon. The angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, who was hiding, trembling, afraid, a man who had absolutely no confidence in himself. And the angel looked at him and said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Gideon, a man hiding in a winepress, and God called him a mighty warrior. He's calling you something today that you don't see in yourself yet. He's calling you by your destiny, not your current condition. He's calling you by who you're becoming, not who you've been. And the vision he gave you, that's the picture of who he sees when he looks at you. Don't you dare throw it away. Section 3. The process is not punishment. Now I need to spend some time here, because this is where a lot of people get confused and a lot of people give up. There's a gap between the vision and the fulfillment of the vision. And in that gap, things happen. Hard things. Painful things. Things that make you question whether you heard God right. And in that gap, it can feel like you're being punished. It can feel like you're being ignored. It can feel like God showed you something beautiful and then left you alone to figure it out. But hear me today, the process is not punishment. The process is preparation. There's a reason a seed has to be buried in the dark before it can grow into the light. There's a reason gold has to go through fire before it becomes refined. There's a reason a diamond is formed under immense pressure. There's a reason the most beautiful things in nature are produced through the most intense conditions. You are being prepared. Every season of waiting is working something in you. Every moment of pressure is developing something in you. Every valley, every disappointment, every closed door, every person who walked away, every time you cried out to God and it felt like the ceiling was made of steel. All of it was working for you, not against you. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." All things, not some things, not the comfortable things, not the convenient things. All things, that betrayal, that loss, that season of financial pressure, that rejection, that illness, that broken relationship, that moment when everything fell apart and you couldn't even see a way forward. God was in all of it, weaving it together, turning it into something. Think about Joseph. God gave Joseph a dream when he was a teenager, a vision so clear, so specific. He saw himself in a position of authority, saw his family bowing before him. He told the people closest to him and they hated him for it. His own brothers threw him into a pit and sold him into slavery. Can you imagine? You have this vision from God, this beautiful, expansive picture of your future, and the very next thing that happens is you end up in a pit. But the pit wasn't the end of Joseph's story. Slavery in Potiphar's house wasn't the end of Joseph's story. A false accusation and a prison cell wasn't the end of Joseph's story. Being forgotten by the cupbearer for 2 full years wasn't the end of Joseph's story. Because when the moment finally came, when Pharaoh had a dream that nobody could interpret and someone finally remembered Joseph, he walked out of that prison into the palace. He went from prisoner to prime minister in a single day. And when his brothers came to him years later, hungry and desperate, and Joseph looked at them, after all the pain, all the betrayal, all the years he'd lost, do you know what he said to them? He said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." That's the perspective you need today. What people intended for harm, God intended for good. What the enemy meant to destroy you with, God is using to develop you. The pain was not pointless. The waiting was not wasted. The process was always purposeful. Section 4. You were made for this. I want to talk to someone who is exhausted. Someone who has been carrying this vision for so long that it feels more like a burden than a blessing. Someone who has prayed and believed and declared and declared and declared, and is starting to wonder if they're just fooling themselves. I want to talk to the person who has watched other people's visions come to pass while theirs seems stuck in neutral. The person who sees others being celebrated and promoted while you're still in the waiting room. The person whose faith is still standing but barely, and you're holding on with both hands, knuckles white, jaw clenched, praying through gritted teeth. I see you, and more importantly, God sees you. And I need you to understand something that might change everything. You were specifically built for this, not just for the dream, for the process toward the dream. God didn't just design you for the destination. He designed you for the journey. He made you resilient enough to withstand the pressure you've been under. He built endurance into your DNA that you didn't even know you had. He wired you for this exact kind of waiting, this exact kind of war, because he knew that what's on the other side of it requires exactly the kind of person the process is making you. You think you're enduring the process despite who you are, but actually, you're enduring it because of who you are. He didn't give that particular vision to someone else. He gave it to you, because he looked across time and eternity and he saw you. Specifically you, with your specific makeup, your specific story, your specific combination of gifts and scars. And he said, this vision belongs with this person. They're the only one equipped to carry it. The vision wasn't given to you to torture you. It was given to you because you're the one he chose to bring it to pass. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified. You are exactly where you need to be, in the season you need to be in, being developed into the person who can actually handle what God is about to do. Section 5. What to do while you wait. So, what do you do in the meantime? What does it look like to carry a vision with faith when you're in the middle of the process? Let me give you a few things. First, write the vision down. Habakkuk 2:2 says, "Write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it." There is power in writing it down. When you write the vision down, you make it real. You give it form. You take it out of the abstract and put it somewhere you can see it. Write down what you saw. Write down the details. Write down how it feels when you imagine yourself walking in it. And then read it. Regularly. Remind yourself of what God showed you, especially on the days when circumstances are screaming the opposite. Second, protect the vision. Not everyone deserves access to what God has shown you. Joseph made the mistake of sharing his dream with his brothers before it was time, and they hated him for it. Not because they were terrible people, well, some of them were, but because the vision was too big for where he was and the people around him weren't positioned to receive it. There are people in your life right now who love you genuinely, but are not equipped to carry your vision with you. Their doubt will infect your faith if you let it. Their ceiling will become your ceiling if you give them that kind of authority over your dream. Guard the vision. Be discerning about who you share it with, not out of secrecy, out of wisdom. Third, take one step. Faith without works is dead. Sitting and waiting for God to drop everything in your lap is not faith. It's passivity dressed up in spiritual language. You have to move. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the first step, then the next, then the next. What's the one thing you could do today that moves you closer to the vision? Not the whole thing, just one step. Sign up for the class, make the call, start the draft, register the business name. Have the conversation you've been avoiding. Do something. Move. Act as if what God said is already true, because it is. Hebrews 11:1 says, "Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Substance. That means it has weight. It has reality. The thing you're believing for is more real in the spirit than anything you can see with your natural eyes. Walk accordingly. Fourth, stay rooted in the Word. On the days when the vision feels far away, get back into the Word. Not as a ritual, as a lifeline. Let the promises of God recalibrate your perspective. Let His truth drown out the noise of your circumstances. Isaiah 40:31. "But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." You renew your strength by waiting on Him, not by grinding yourself into the ground trying to force it, not by striving and straining and manipulating and scheming, by waiting on Him, by sitting in His presence, by allowing His word to refuel what the journey has drained. Fifth, worship in the waiting. This one is hard, but it might be the most powerful of all. Worship is not just what you do when things are going well. Worship is a weapon. When you praise God in the middle of the process, when you lift your hands and open your mouth and say, "I trust you," even when everything inside you is afraid, something shifts in the spiritual atmosphere. Paul and Silas were in prison, beaten, chained at midnight in a dungeon, and the Bible says they began to pray and sing hymns to God. And suddenly, there was an earthquake. The prison shook, the chains fell off, the doors flew open. Your praise in the middle of your prison will shake things loose that nothing else can reach. Worship in the waiting, praise in the process. Thank Him in advance for what He's already done in the spirit realm on your behalf. Section 6. The vision is bigger than you think. Now, I want to stretch you for a moment. That vision you've been carrying, I want to suggest to you that it's even bigger than you've allowed yourself to imagine. Here's what I've seen happen over and over again. God gives someone a vision, and because of fear, because of limited thinking, because of the box that life put them in, they shrink the vision down to something that feels more manageable, more realistic, more achievable. They downsize it until it barely resembles what God originally showed them. And then they chase that smaller version, achieve it, and wonder why it doesn't feel like they thought it would. Because it wasn't the real vision, it was the edited version, the version you made safe. God doesn't think the way we think. Isaiah 55:8-9. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. When God gives you a vision, it's coming from a mind that operates at a level your natural mind cannot fully comprehend. What He imagines for your life is exponentially beyond what you would dare to imagine for yourself. Ephesians 3:20 says, He is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think. Above all that we ask or think. Not a little above, not marginally better, exceedingly, abundantly. Above your highest thought. So, stop limiting the vision. Stop making it smaller so it feels safer. Stop talking yourself into a smaller life because the bigger one scares you. The fear you feel when you look at the full size of what God showed you, that fear is actually appropriate because you should not be able to do it on your own. If you could figure out how to do it yourself, it might not be God who gave it to you. The vision should be so big that it requires the supernatural to pull off. That's the point. God wants to show Himself strong in your life in a way that even you can't take credit for. He wants to do something through you that makes even the skeptics stop and say, "There's no explanation for that except God." Let the vision be big. Let it be terrifying. Let it require more than you have. Because when you don't have enough, He does. When you've run out, He hasn't. When the resources are depleted, He is still provider. When the door is closed, He is still the God who opens what no man can shut. Let the vision be big. Section 7. The vision will cost you something. I have to be honest with you, because anything less would be disrespectful to your journey. Pursuing the vision God gave you will cost you something. Maybe it will cost you comfort. Maybe it will cost you a relationship that was holding you back. Maybe it will cost you the security of a paycheck that was keeping you comfortable but slowly suffocating your purpose. Maybe it will cost you the approval of people whose opinions you've been trying to manage for years. The vision will cost you something. And you have to decide, is what God showed me worth the price of pursuing it? Let me tell you about a young man named Abraham. God came to Abraham and said something radical. He said, "Leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you." He didn't give Abraham a map. He didn't give Abraham a GPS. He said, "Go to the land I will show you," meaning, I'm not telling you where yet. I'll show you as you go. You just start walking. And Abraham went. He left everything familiar, everything comfortable, everyone he had grown up with. He walked away from the security of what he knew toward a promise that existed only in the Word of God. And that land where he was going, that place of promise, was filled with giants and enemies and seasons of drought and years of barrenness. But on the other side of all of it, his descendants became a nation. His name became synonymous with faith. God called him the father of many nations. His legacy reached across centuries, across millennia, into eternity. because he was willing to pay the cost. You cannot stay in comfort and walk in calling at the same time. You cannot hold on to the familiar and step into the future simultaneously. At some point, you have to release what is good for what is God. The vision will require sacrifice. It will require saying no to things that aren't bad just because they're not it. It will require seasons of being misunderstood, seasons of going against the crowd, seasons of choosing the hard path when the easy one is right there. But I promise you this, what God has for you on the other side of that sacrifice is worth more than everything you lay down to get to it. You will not regret choosing your calling. You will not regret saying yes to what God put in your heart. You will not regret the cost. What you will regret, and I say this with love, is never trying. Carrying that vision to your grave, dying with the music still inside you, living a safe, comfortable, risk-free life that amounts to never finding out what could have been. That's the greater tragedy. Don't let that be your story. Section 8. When it looks like it's dying. There's a specific kind of pain I want to address, and if you've ever experienced it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the moment when the vision doesn't just feel delayed, it feels dead. Not just far away, dead. The business failed. The relationship ended. The diagnosis came back bad. The door didn't just close, it collapsed. And everything you had built your hope around came crashing to the ground. And you're standing in the rubble of the dream and asking God, what happened? I thought you showed me this. I thought this was the plan. How did it end up here? I need to introduce you to a place called the Valley of Dry Bones. Ezekiel 37. God takes the prophet Ezekiel and sets him down in the middle of a valley full of bones. Not fresh wounds, not injured bodies, dry bones. The text says they were very dry, meaning this had been dead a long time. There was no life left. By any natural standard, it was over. And God asks Ezekiel a question that I believe he is asking you today. He says, Son of man, can these bones live? That question was not rhetorical. God was asking Ezekiel to engage his faith in the middle of an impossible situation. He was asking him to look at what was dead and decide what he believed. And Ezekiel said, Sovereign Lord, you alone know. And God said, Prophesy to these bones. Speak to them. Tell them what I said. And Ezekiel spoke. And there was a rattling. And the bones started coming together. Bone to bone, tendons formed. Flesh covered them. Breath came into them. And they stood up. A vast army, dead things becoming alive again. Maybe the vision you were given looks like dry bones right now. Maybe everything that was supposed to carry it has fallen apart. Maybe you've been looking at what feels like death and wondering if this is the end. It is not the end. God is the God of resurrection. He is in the business of bringing dead things back to life. He specializes in the impossible. He shows up in the valley, not just on the mountaintop, but in the valley. And he breathes life into what everybody else already buried. Your vision is not dead. It may look dead. It may have been still for so long that it seems like the season is over. But if God gave it to you, nobody can take it from you. Not people, not circumstances, not time, not your own mistakes. The vision is still alive. And when the moment is right, when the preparation is complete, when the timing is perfect according to his purpose, he will breathe on it again. And what you thought was over will come back with a force that will make even you stand back and say, Only God. Section 9. Your vision was made for this moment. Here's something I want you to sit with. You were born for this time, not a previous generation, not the future. This time, this moment, this cultural moment, this social climate, this moment in history. You are not here by accident. Esther was told by her uncle Mordecai when she was terrified and considering whether to act on her calling or stay silent. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. For such a time as this. There is something happening in the earth right now that requires your specific contribution. There are people alive right now who need what God put in you. There are problems that exist right now that your vision was designed to solve. There is a void in the world that the shape of your calling was specifically designed to fill. If you don't show up, that void remains. I know that sounds weighty. I mean it too. This is not about self-help or personal achievement or living your best life. This is about your assignment in the kingdom. This is about what the earth is groaning for. And Romans 8:19 says the whole creation is eagerly waiting for the sons and daughters of God to be revealed. The world is waiting for you to step into your purpose. Your neighborhood is waiting. Your family is waiting. The people you haven't met yet, the lives you're going to transform, the people you're going to speak a word to that saves them from giving up, the children who will grow up differently because of the thing you built. They're all waiting. Don't make them wait forever because you were afraid. Don't let the world go without what God put in you. This is your moment. This is your time. This is exactly the season for which you were born and prepared. Section 10. A word for the ones who almost gave up. I want to talk directly to someone who almost quit. Not past tense, present tense. Someone who right now, before they found this message, was seriously considering letting the vision go, deciding to be practical, deciding to be realistic, deciding to just stop. I need you to hear this. The devil knows what's on the other side of your breakthrough. He doesn't waste energy attacking things that don't matter. He doesn't spend resources fighting visions that don't have power. The intensity of the opposition you have faced is directly proportional to the significance of what you're carrying. He is fighting you because he knows what you carry. When Pharaoh issued the decree to kill the Hebrew baby boys, he wasn't just being cruel for the sake of it. There was a deliverer in that generation. His name was Moses, and the enemy tried to wipe him out before he could rise. When Herod issued the decree to kill all the boys in Bethlehem, he wasn't acting out of political paranoia alone. There was a king in that generation. His name was Jesus, and the enemy tried to eliminate him before he could come into his purpose. The enemy has been trying to kill your vision early. He's been trying to get you to quit before you reach the moment he's actually afraid of. The question is, will you give him what he wants? Will you stop at the last possible moment, when the breakthrough was right around the corner? Will you give up when the door was about to open? You don't know how close you are. You don't know what's waiting on the other side of this next season of perseverance, but the enemy knows. And that's exactly why the pressure is at its highest right now. Don't you dare quit! Not today. Not when you've come this far. Not when you've paid this much. Not when the evidence of God's faithfulness in your life is sitting right behind you in the rearview mirror. You are closer than you think. The vision is real. The calling is sure. And God, who began a good work in you, is faithful to complete it. Philippians 1:6 says He will complete it. Not might, not maybe, He will. Hold on. Keep going. Take one more step. Say one more prayer. Have one more night of praise in the process. The breakthrough is coming. Section 11. What God is going to do. I want to spend our closing moments talking about what's ahead, because this isn't just a message of endurance. It's not just a message of hold on and survive. This is a message of hope, of real, tangible, God-breathed expectation for what is coming. The Bible says in Isaiah 43:19, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. I am doing a new thing." Not past tense, present tense. He's doing it now. Even as you listen to this, something is in motion that you cannot yet see. Something is being arranged that you cannot yet feel. Doors are being positioned. Provisions are being prepared. Connections are being aligned. The pieces of the puzzle that have seemed scattered and random are right now being placed in the exact configuration needed for the vision to manifest. You don't always feel it. That doesn't mean it's not happening. God is making a way in the wilderness where there should be no way, in the wasteland where there should be no water. In the impossible, He is making the possible. And when it comes, and it will come, it's going to come in a way that removes all doubt. It's going to come in a way that you know beyond any shadow of any question that this was God, that this was always God, that this was the plan all along, even when you couldn't see it, even when you doubted, even when you almost walked away. You're going to look back at this season with new eyes. The things that felt like obstacles are going to look like stepping stones. The things that felt like setbacks are going to look like setups. The seasons you spent in the dark are going to look like the very preparation that made everything possible. And you are going to stand in what God promised you, not just surviving it, but thriving in it. And you are going to help someone else. You're going to see someone else in the middle of their process, in the middle of their valley, in the middle of their season of doubt and dry bones. And you are going to speak to them from experience. You're going to say, I know it feels impossible, but God is faithful. I know because he did it for me. Your testimony is being written right now. Your story of perseverance and faith and breakthrough. It's not just for you. It's for every person who will need to hear it. It's for the people coming behind you who will face the same battles, the same doubts, the same valleys. And they're going to need to know that someone made it through. You are going to be that someone. So let me ask you again what I asked you at the beginning. Close your eyes. Go back to the vision, that thing God put in your heart, that dream that refuses to die no matter how many times you've tried to be practical, that calling that keeps showing up even when you've tried to ignore it, that picture of who you're supposed to be, that life you were made for, that contribution you were called to make. See it clearly. Now I want you to make a decision today, not a feeling, a decision. Decide that you believe God is who he says he is. Decide that the vision he put in you was not a mistake. Decide that no matter how long it takes, no matter what it costs, no matter who walks away or what falls apart, you are going to keep going. Decide that the story isn't over. Decide that you are not the person who gives up 2 steps before the breakthrough. Decide that you are going to be someone your children talk about, someone whose faith became a legacy, someone who looked at an impossible vision and said, I don't know how, but I trust the one who gave it to me. God gave you that vision for a reason, not to torture you, not to taunt you, not to show you a life you'll never have. He gave it to you because it belongs to you, because you were specifically chosen to carry it, because there is something in the story of your life, including the pain, including the failure, including the waiting, that makes you exactly the right vessel for what he wants to do. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too far gone. You are right on time, right in process, right in his hands. And the God who hung the stars and named them one by one, the God who knows the number of hairs on your head and catches every tear you cry, that God has not forgotten you. He has not forgotten the vision. He has not forgotten his word. He has not changed his mind. And he is faithful. He is faithful. He is faithful. So go, take that step. Speak that word. Start that thing. Make that call. Write that vision down and run with it. Trust the process. Trust the God who's in the process. Trust that what he started, he will finish. Because your story is not over. Your vision is not dead. Your best days are not behind you. And God, the God who gave you that vision, is still on the throne. Go live it.